Welcome to English Time. In today's lesson, we will first listen to the conversation. After that, we will repeat each and every sentence for better improvement.
What do you use to wake up in the morning? What do you use to wake up in the morning?
I use an alarm clock. I use an alarm clock.
How do you brush your teeth? How do you brush your teeth?
I use a toothbrush and toothpaste. I use a toothbrush and toothpaste.
What do you use to wash your face? What do you use to wash your face?
I use face wash and water. I use face wash and water.
How do you dry your hair after a shower? How do you dry your hair after a shower?
I use a hairdryer. I use a hairdryer.
What do you use to cook breakfast? What do you use to cook breakfast?
I use a frying pan. I use a frying pan.
How do you make coffee in the morning? How do you make coffee in the morning?
I use a coffee maker. I use a coffee maker.
What do you use to read the news? What do you use to read the news?
I use a newspaper or a smartphone. I use a newspaper or a smartphone.
How do you commute to work? How do you commute to work?
I use my car or public transportation. I use my car or public transportation.
What do you use to write notes during a meeting? What do you use to write notes during a meeting?
I use a notebook and a pen. I use a notebook and a pen.
How do you keep track of your schedule? How do you keep track of your schedule?
I use a planner or a calendar app. I use a planner or a calendar app.
What do you use to eat lunch? What do you use to eat lunch?
I use a fork and knife. I use a fork and knife.
How do you warm up your lunch at work? How do you warm up your lunch at work?
I use a microwave. I use a microwave.
What do you use to make a phone call? What do you use to make a phone call?
I use my smartphone. I use my smartphone.
How do you stay hydrated during the day? How do you stay hydrated during the day?
I drink water from a water bottle. I drink water from a water bottle.
What do you use to write emails? What do you use to write emails?
I use a computer or laptop. I use a computer or laptop.
How do you take a break at work? How do you take a break at work?
I relax in a break room or go for a walk. I relax in a break room or go for a walk.
What do you use to sign documents? What do you use to sign documents?
I use a pen. I use a pen.
How do you keep your desk organized? How do you keep your desk organized?
I use desk organizers and trays. I use desk organizers and trays.
What do you use to listen to music while working? What do you use to listen to music while working?
I use headphones or speakers. I use headphones or speakers.
How do you charge your electronic devices? How do you charge your electronic devices?
I use a charger. I use a charger.
What do you use to access the internet? What do you use to access the internet?
I use a computer or smartphone. I use a computer or smartphone.
How do you keep your workspace clean? How do you keep your workspace clean?
I use cleaning wipes. I use cleaning wipes.
What do you use to schedule meetings? What do you use to schedule meetings?
I use a calendar app. I use a calendar app.
How do you send a package? How do you send a package?
I use a courier service. I use a courier service.
What do you use to draw diagrams? What do you use to draw diagrams?
I use a whiteboard and markers. I use a whiteboard and markers.
How do you print documents? How do you print documents?
I use a printer. I use a printer.
What do you use to make photocopies? What do you use to make photocopies?
Use a photocopier. Use a photocopier.
How do you scan documents? How do you scan documents?
I use a scanner. I use a scanner.
What do you use to pay for purchases? What do you use to pay for purchases?
I use a credit card or cash. I use a credit card or cash.
How do you carry your belongings? How do you carry your belongings?
I use a backpack or briefcase. I use a backpack or briefcase.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content. Hit the bell icon to stay notified. See you in the next one.